We're back. Thank God. I have missed you folks. Oh my God, I've missed you. I got some time off work. I took the children to their respective schools on opposite sides of town, and the traffic meant nothing to me. It meant nothing. It was no stress. I went through, I got a egg McMuffin, meant nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm not missing my job. Can you believe that? I'm not missing it. I know a lot of people miss their vocation and they feel like, hey, I need to be there for the team. The team doesn't care about you. So, like I said last week, we have a daughter now. My baby. I love that little girl. I love you guys too, though. Remember that. Always remember that when you lay your head down on the pillow, my love. So, I went to the hospital. We did the old delivery routine. This is my third kid, so it's like, whatever. No, I did cry. Actually, the first time when my first son was born, I was crying so much that a nurse like stopped what was going on and was like, "Are you like all right? Do you need to sit down?" It was shameful. I was like, "Please don't draw any more attention to me than I already am." Okay. So the hospital was a good stay. Everything went off without a hitch. It was very nice. We picked a different hospital. We wanted a little bit different scenery. We heard that they had queen size beds. So that's kind of fun. If you have to stay the night, you can sleep in your same bed like you do at home with the wife or girlfriend or partner, whatever you're into. So no, that was really good. It was a little weird though. My wife gave birth, and then later that day, some woman came in with one of those rolling computers and all the rolling office basically comes barging in, talking to my wife about, I wasn't there, talking to my wife about insurance and all this stuff, and then she's like, "How would you like to pay today? Do you want to run a card? Do you want to like pay by check?" Made us pay on the spot. Is that a little insane? So my wife did, we have a HSA account. So my wife did the HSA account and there was a tip screen. They wanted to know if we wanted to give a tip. I don't think so. I think your tip is cooked in. Come on now, that's out of control. But the service was pretty good. It was actually almost too good. Every about so my wife gave birth. The next day I went back to work for a little. I was like, "Oh, I'll just work or whatever." Didn't really work out. I only worked half a day. Long story. I don't want to get into that. But so I wasn't there, and then I went back up to like visit her and like spend some time with the baby. And she was like, I can't even sleep because they're coming in so much. It's just a ridiculous amount of people coming in. And I was like, I'm sure that it's whatever. You're tired. I get it. I didn't want to say I didn't believe her, but I thought maybe she was overselling. No, it was like a Saturday Night Live skit. There was literally somebody coming in every like 90 seconds. Like you'd hear a little knock and they put their head in. They're like, "Oh, I'm just like checking your stats." Or like, "Oh, I have some other paperwork for you." Or, "Hey, we're gonna be bringing you lunch." It's like, just bring the lunch. I don't get it. The other thing is that like I said, this is a new hospital and the food, I had high hopes for the food. The food was absolutely horrible. It was like home cooking, weird stuff. Like I think the first day we were there, it was like homemade meatloaf, which I was like, I'll give it a chance. It was horrible, absolutely horrible. Now the first place we went to, the food was the bomb. They had like room service that like you would call and they'd be up there in like 5 or 10 minutes, and they had good stuff. They have some of the best Rice Krispies I've ever had. Now the malpractice at the other place wasn't the best, so that was kind of the reason we didn't go back. But the food was good. Food was good. So yeah, I mean the service was pretty good at this one. I mean they didn't make any medical errors, so that's huge. But I've been noticing kind of after 2020 that a lot of the service industry is hurting a little bit. I think we can all agree on that. I went to McDonald's a couple days ago for my wife, just in the morning, a little morning snack, nothing too serious. And I ordered, and they didn't tell me the total. And I gave them my card. They ran my card. So this is partially on me. I ran their card, and it came back with the receipt. And I looked at the receipt, and it was like $20. It was like $17.80. I'd ordered one thing for my wife and then like an additional large Diet Coke and like two sides of hash browns or something. So I get to the window and I'm like, you guys charged me for the wrong thing. And they're like, okay, well, like, what is your order? So I had to tell them again. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we have it here. Uh, they're like getting it together or whatever. And they're like, oh, sorry for the like inconvenience, but are you like a big coffee drinker? Because here's, for the inconvenience, here's like two McCafe gift certificates. And I was like, I want my money back. I paid $17. I'm not just going to eat the $10 overage. So then they had an attitude, and I was like, look, there's like 30 people in line. I'm not moving until I get my money. Sorry to be a dick, but this is a little ridiculous. And they're like, well, how much was it supposed to be? And I was like, it was supposed to be like around $8 probably. So they go through all the dog and pony show of, refunding my credit card. Hopefully, I'll have to go back and check. And then after all that, they're like, okay, you're good to go. And I'm like, no, I'm still like missing the drinks. So that really wasn't very nice. I did not like that. The service industry is hurting. I was kind of feeling bad for like a lot of the service workers, like in fast food because they're getting replaced by like AI and robots and stuff. Now I'm not. The robots, the AI, they do a better job. Okay, we went through this morning, same McDonald's, pre-ordered on the app. Could not be easier. We took a step out for everyone. Couldn't be easier. I go up and you have to like read them the little code. I read them the code and then it was just dead air and I was like, hello? Hello? And then another person came on. They're like, are you using the mobile app? I'm like, yeah, it's PR 590 or whatever. And they're like, nothing again. I'm like, hello? So I, I just drove up to the window. And then I got the food and I thanked her. And I turned to my wife and I was like, I thanked her. Why did I thank her? I paid for this. Why did I thank her? My wife didn't like that. She was like, you're mean. You're a mean person. Not a good person. So that's my rant about the service industry, right? You don't want to be a service worker. Go to college, they say. You got to go to college to be successful. I went to college. Am I successful? No, not really. I was kind of thinking maybe I had messed up when I had just graduated college. I didn't have a job. I had a buddy from high school who was a plumber. Started plumbing when he was 17. He had a house, multiple vehicles, and made over six figures. That's pretty good, over six figures. In like 2010, had a house. Probably has multiple houses now. Probably has his own plumbing firm. I haven't checked in on him. I was so disgusted I just stopped talking to him. But you see a lot of, the Charlie Kirks of the world and people saying like, "Oh, like college is so ridiculous now, blah blah blah." It was ridiculous when I went. We had a professor who would just give us the answers to all the tests because he didn't want to screw with it, and then we would grade it all together like it as a group. So he would give you all the answers to the tests. You would take the test. You would come back. Everyone would just grade it as a group. So if someone was like, if a majority of the people were like, I actually think that it was. So if there was like majority rule, then everyone could just change their score. It was ridiculous. That same guy, you were supposed to turn in like a weekly worksheet or like summary of something that you read related to that or something. And I turned in one that was like not very good and he gave me 100%. I was talking to this other girl and she's like, I accidentally turned in a blank document once and he gave me a 90. It's just random. So I thought that was the pinnacle. And then one time my roommate in college came home. He took like a health class or something. And he was like, hey, today in health class, I learned something really interesting that every time you fart, you actually deposit like X amount of grams of fecal material in your underwear. Like it comes out as a gas, but there's solids involved. So every time you're farting, like you're depositing material into your trousers. I was like, what the hell? What kind of class is this? What is the point of that? This was part of the class, is to instruct the students that every time you flatulate, tiny bits of material come out. What is the reason for that? This is what I'm paying for? I don't think so. That's not very nice. But then I got to thinking, I was like, is there, outside of weighing the underwear, is there a way that we can kind of make educated guesses on how much is being deposited? Because from then on out, like whenever we were blowing ass around the house, we would like yell out, like it was a really bad one. It'd be like, that was a 10 grammer. Outside of actually weighing, is there anything else that we can do? Does odor play a factor? Does sound play a factor? You know what I mean? Because each fart kind of has its own characteristics. So do those characteristics play, if we're going to do this, let's get scientific about it. Let's get really down and dirty. Let's make this a STEM, something to do with STEM, as opposed to just like a joke lesson where we're like, ha ha, you're giving us $500 an hour. We're teaching you about farts and depositing a fecal material in your underpants. Gotcha. Let's get scientific with it. I want to do a thesis on it. Not very fun. Not very, well, it is fun, but it's not nice. It's not nice to steal from people and put them in, you know, debt for the rest of their lives. That was the nice thing for me though, is when I went to school, like wasn't that, I mean, it was still expensive, but it wasn't like what it is now. It was pretty expensive, but it's gotten insane because the government is now underwriting college education. Back when I went, I just had private loans from these things called banks, which you can't do anymore. You have to loan through the federal government. And then that's when things got real ridiculous. That's when the school I went from like a dumpy campus to like the Four Seasons because they had free money. You dig? So speaking of college being worthless, when I was at school, so I had little crumlets that maybe it wasn't a good idea, topics like farting and professors not even grading your papers. But then I think I was like late into my junior year or maybe my senior year, I was like, I'm gonna like go check out this career center I've been hearing so much about. Like, let's see what we can do with this degree. Let's see what this baby can do out in the real world. How many horsepower does this degree I'm getting in the humanities really have? So I went to the career center as like a fucking volunteer middle-aged woman working there, and I took like some just random test. They're like, here's how you pick like what you want to be. It's like you take one of these tests. So I took the test and it came back as arborist. Arborist, a blue collar job. So basically nothing, nothing you could even get a degree for, and nothing that had anything to do with college. Okay. And then I think I took another one and it said dog trainer. So I was like, okay, do I need to like switch my degree to like canine psychiatry? Is that offered? Where are we at on that? In retrospect, I should have been a dog trainer because those people make a killing. We had a dog trainer come to our house because our dog wouldn't stop biting everyone. He charged us like $375 for like an hour and 15 minutes. He was booked out 6 weeks. So maybe I should have pursued that. But the Career Center didn't have my trust. So then I was like, well, should I enlist? Should I enlist in the military? So I went to a recruitment office and they're like, you're too fat and you have way too much of a criminal record. We can't do this. You're not allowed to go to Iraq. I'm like, okay, whatever. So here we are. Something, something, something happened, and then now I'm doing this. Oh my. That's my little rant, my little college rant. I do think that that's something that I would like to explore with you. College. Did you go to college? How did that work out for you? I don't know why I even said that. Okay, so now, well, speaking of college, when I went to college, this is probably similar to your experience, depending on where you went. I went to a state school. They let anyone in, but we had tons of Chinese students. Did you have tons of Chinese? Especially in the STEMs, right? So when I was a freshman, I took entry-level chemistry, and I'm like, no problem, right? I got a 22 on the ACT. I think I can handle this. I went in there, I was completely out of my league. I had no fucking idea what I was doing. Um, I think it took a lot for me to break double digits on the tests, and then I just dropped the class. But I would go in there. Basically, the main thing I would do is like doodle. I would make these hurtful drawings of the professor, of other students, pass them around. It's kind of fun. But I went to lab a couple times, and it's like me, two of my buddies, the rest are like Chinese exchange students. And then the person teaching the lab was Chinese, and she barely spoke English. So she was giving instructions in Mandarin to everyone else. I guess what I'm saying is Chinese people are smart, right? They're good at the stems. Speaking of being good at the stems, I just read a little article. I don't remember the publication, but it was all about how the Chinese space agency is headed to the moon, baby. They're going to the moon. They want to put a base on the moon. They're within striking distance. And I was like, I think the people at NASA are going to have a collective, oh fuck, me Chinese, me play joke, me expose your moon landing hoax. Made it work. So they're going to get up there and be like, there's nothing, no one's ever been here. There's no footsteps up here. There's no reflective lens. That's one of the things that they're like, well, when the astronauts went up there, they put reflective lenses on the moon so they could shoot lasers off it or something. It's like the moon, the surface of the moon is reflective. I'm not buying it. I'm not really, I don't know what to think, but if somebody put a gun to my head and said, did the United States go to the moon in 1969? I would have to say no. It seems too ridiculous. 1969? Think about a car made in 1969. They barely ran. I'm supposed to believe they're making cell phone calls from the moon in 1969 and sending a live feed of the footage to NASA, who then, here's the crazy part, who then projected it on a wall. A TV camera shot it, and then what you see on TV is TV footage of the camera monitor shooting on, that's picking up what's on the wall. So that's a little suspicious. I don't think that there's a smoking gun. I think it's a lot of a death by a thousand cuts where you're like, okay, there's a lot of questions, right? Because if you're into the space thing, if you're watching NASA, if you're on NASA's website and reading their blog or whatever, they accidentally let slip that like going through the Van Allen radiation belt is a big problem that they really haven't figured out yet. For those of you that do not know, the Van Allen radiation belt is exactly what it sounds like. It's strong radiation that's right outside of Earth's orbit, I guess, past high orbit. So like the space station is in low Earth orbit. The Van Allen radiation belt is past that, and it goes on for thousands of miles. They sent Geiger counters up there, and the Geiger counters basically explode. So they're like, it's really hard to get through there. And it's like, well, I thought we did it in 1969. I thought that all the Apollo missions went through the Van Allen radiation belt. It wasn't a big deal. So depending on like who you're listening to, like it is a big deal, it's not a big deal. And they're like, okay, so like if the Van Allen radiation belt is up there and it is a big deal, how do we get through it? And the official story is like they just went really fast. Okay, I mean they were fucking cooking, right? They went fast. They outran that radiation. Huh? Gotcha. Sounds a little fishy. So if there's radiation shooting around up there like crazy at hundreds of billions of miles per, I don't know how fast radiation moves, but it's fast. Well, okay, so if that's shooting around, there's other things shooting around. We know there's asteroids and meteorites we can see and all this stuff. We see the big ones. Wouldn't there be like little tiny ones shooting around all the time, like basically like bullets flying at all times? So some sources say yes, there is meteorites, meteoroids. I don't know the terms. Meteoroids. This is what AI told me. Meteoroids and micrometeorites are shooting all around space all the time, like being shot out of a gun or faster. And they're like, well, they had shields on the spaceship. Got it. How much does this thing weigh again? How much did it weigh? Wouldn't it need a lot of fuel? If we're going up there in an armored vehicle, like a tank, don't we need a lot of fuel? No, they figured that out. Originally, Werner von Braun, the guy who was like the head of NASA, was like, we can't do it because you need too much fuel. You need like whatever, 900,000 gallons of fuel or something insane. And they're like, no, you don't. Now they're like, you don't. You can put a handheld fan out the back and just zoom up to the moon. Okay, right? So there's that, and then there's the other. This is a story I just heard about the moon thing. Sorry to go on a moon tangent, but I think that it's kind of fun, right? You like the moon? I was always taught it was made of cheese. My favorite story about the moon and why it's maybe a hoax is that when we got back from the moon, they handed out all these moon rocks. Now, they handed out a lot of moon rocks, a lot more than you probably think. Somebody in my family who was in state government, got a moon rock. Okay? So we're fucking passing them out to everyone. Like, how many moon rocks can we get on the little spaceship, number one? Okay, so just forget it. So, in 1969, the US government gave the Dutch Prime Minister a moon rock, like sealed in something. It was like, this is a moon rock. Don't do it. It's scary. Scary moon rock. So valuable, right? The moon. It's not made of cheese, it's made of rock. Gave it to the Dutch. In 2006, scientists opened the case, got the rock out, tested it, and it was petrified wood. I love that. They're like, guys, what the fuck is this? This is petrified wood. So anyway, that's where I stand on the space thing. You put a gun to my head, I'm gonna have to say that it didn't happen because the Russians were beating us at everything. But the one thing that no one has ever beat the United States in, ever to this day, God, they've tried. That's making movies. We fucking kick ass in making movies. 2001: A Space Odyssey, that came out prior to 1969, and it actually looked more realistic. So that's where we're the undefeated heavyweight champs. Speaking of movies, we've already touched on this. Shrek 5 is coming out, but there is a new trend on the streets, a new dating trend. It's called Shreking. What's Shreking, you may ask? Where did it come from? Why are we talking about this? Shreking is where let's say, you're a little more on the attractive side, and then you date down in attractiveness. And the thought process is, well, an ugly person is probably nicer. It's something that's predominantly done by females. Thank God for people like me that females are willing to look past looks. That's not true. I'm gorgeous. I'm a gorgeous babe. So the idea is like somebody uglier will like treat you better. Turns out it's not true. No shit. How attractive you are on the outside doesn't mean anything as far as how attractive you are on the inside. Like, I'm a gorgeous babe and I'm also a complete sweetheart. You know what I mean? I'm kind of the prize. So I've done a little Shreking myself back in the old days. I did a little Shreking. I was on a dating app. This is pre what the kids are on now. This is pre the swipe one, Tinder. This is pre Tinder. Okay, I was on some dating apps. I put my little put 'em out there. Snagged one. Snagged a Jewish princess. She was actually really nice. She was in medical school to be a neurosurgeon, so she was literally better than me, basically in every way besides looks. Went on a couple dates with her, didn't really work out. Didn't really work. I mean, she liked me, she wanted me, right? But I wasn't really into it. But then I was like, I don't know, she's a neurosurgeon. Should I hit it for the money? Is that right? But I couldn't do it. It's like, that's not right. That's not nice. Come on. And I was like, okay, if we did make a run at this thing, if we really got real, how would that even work? Because I'm a Protestant and she was Jewish. Is a Jewish person even allowed to marry a Protestant? I mean, I don't like literally I don't know. I do not know. But I was like, how would that work? Like we have a traditional like Protestant wedding and then we have a Jewish or whatever it's called. How would it work? But it didn't go anywhere. I didn't want to do that. You know what I mean? It seemed immoral. Speaking of other trends you might like in the dating scene, if you're part of the dating scene, this is something that there's a lot of moving parts in the dating scene that I was not aware of. Okay, you got your Shreking, this is the newest one, it's the Wiresexuals. Wiresexuals. This is women who are basically done with men, biological men, and they're dating and getting into deep committed relationships with large language models, AI, basically. They're saying men don't treat me right. I want to be with a machine, a real man. And they're saying, look, we're queer, we're queer, and they're saying, hey, look, we're being marginalized, and the and they want their own flag. Okay, LGBTQ has their own flag. The Wiresexuals want their own flag. It's a little bit different colors, and it has some microchips on the front. I'm not kidding. So I read this. I came up with a new slur. Robosexuals. That's the newest slur on the block. Robosexuals. Oh my God, honey, our neighbors are robers. Oh my God, honey. Test one. Oh my God, honey, our neighbors are robosexuals. There goes the neighborhood. Jesus, I butchered that. That's okay. The line wasn't that great anyway. Wasn't that great. It's pretty bad actually, now that I say it out loud. So on the mental health scene, so this is a story that I thought was really refreshing. Someone just out living their life, having a great time, not caring what others think. And that's Lil Nas X. He was arrested, I think, last weekend for just running down the streets of Santa Monica, California, butt naked, singing, not a care in the world. No cell phone in sight, just living. I wish I had that kind of body confidence, you know what I mean? Good for him, right? I believe he also assaulted a cop and was arrested. The story said that he was being treated for an overdose. I thought overdoses made you fall asleep and die. I didn't think that they had you running up and down the streets butt naked. Out of all of my near overdose experiences, I was never running up and down the streets butt naked singing. Isn't that kind of sad? Like I didn't have enough confidence. Really sad. And then, of course, speaking of too much confidence, Britney Spears, she has some new nude pictures out. She does a lot of nude pictures on the socials, right? She has a new one where she's looking out a window. Now, if I was an alien, speaking of alien shit, if I was an alien, I came down to Earth, you showed me a picture of Britney Spears today, just her face. I would say that she had a mental illness. It's pretty obvious, right? She has the look about her. Something in the eyes. Crazy, right? um, I'm starting to think that maybe somebody else being in charge of her, what was it called? The conservatorship, where somebody else basically like managed her money, made sure she was doing what she was supposed to do, keeping on the straight and narrow. I'm starting to think that maybe that was not a horrible idea, because I think that didn't she also just like last week adopt a kid, another kid? Can anyone adopt a kid? Because I know that like I mean, God bless her, she has issues, but um, I don't think that she was in the running for Mother of the Year last time I checked. A little drink of water. Mm. But that got me to thinking. So like Britney Spears, when I was in high school around 2000, like she was like huge. She was everywhere, and she had so many hits. It's like somebody like that's never gonna have to work again. You know what I mean? Huge hits, touring like crazy. I think she was in Las Vegas for a while. Maybe she still does that, where she had a residence, which is what I'm going for. I would love if anyone runs any casinos in Las Vegas and they need a bad comedian. I wouldn't say bad, but maybe not super polished, right? Kind of feeling it out on stage. You know, I would definitely be down for that. I'll work at a discount, slight discount. Give me a call. Give me a call. Reach out on Soch. So Britney Spears doesn't have to work again, but I've seen a kind of a trend in people, especially in music, they kind of go insane. And one of my favorite stories, and God bless this girl, I mean, she tried, was Blue Cantrell. Do you remember her? She had a number one hit song. This is my case study. She had a number one hit song in 2001 called Hit 'em Up Style. Hey ladies, if your man want to get buck wild, go back hit 'em up style. Do you remember that? Is it catch? Are you anything? This is a pretty like catchy song. She had that song, and then she had another song where it was like her and some rapper. I don't remember it, but both of them were like pretty big songs, like number one hits, top of the Billboard charts for like 10 weeks. She almost won a Grammy, I think. And then after that, literally crickets, literally nothing. She didn't get another album out. She wasn't really touring. She didn't have it. She didn't have the say hey anymore. So around 2010, I remember this. I don't know why. I don't know why Blue Cantrell is stuck in my head. But around 2010, she was arrested in somewhere in California. I believe somewhere in Hollywood. She was running up and down the streets, clothes on this time, running up and down the street saying they're trying to kill me with poison gas. She was cuffed, stuffed, and actually institutionalized in California. Can you believe that? She was so crazy, they put her in an institution in California. Okay? That was about I think that was in 2010, somewhere around there. So I was like, okay, if you're somebody like Blue Cantrell where you had two hit songs 25 years ago, how do you even make a living? Because a hit song that goes number one like that. I've heard this from people in the industry, and I also heard it from AI. So we can believe it. It's verified, double verified, double verification of the income. You make about 200,000 just for the song, 200,000 to 400,000 for the first couple years. According to AI, for a song like that, you make about a little less than $1 million over 25 years, not counting touring. But if you have two hit songs 25 years ago, it's not like you can tour. I guess in the around the time she went mental, that she was doing some touring in like Europe and Australia, which kind of made me laugh because it's like Europe and Australia only get the very backseat tier. Poor Europe, poor Australia, really sad. So anyway, that's just a trend I've seen of people one-hit wonders, people in the music industry going nuts. I always wondered about one-hit wonders. They used to have that VH1 show, like Where Are They Now? And I remember the guy that did Video Killed a Radio Star. He was a one-hit wonder. I don't remember his name. But they went back to him and he was like, they interviewed him and they're like, well, so like, what are you doing now? And he's like, I invented all of the ringtones on like the original cell phones. So like my music career was like okay, but now I'm a multi-billionaire because I every cell phone ringer you hear was written by me. Obviously, that's not the norm. You dig? Not the norm. Speaking of something that's becoming the norm, is people's dogs being fat slobs. That's in the news. Doggy's a fat slob. The New York Post said in an article that they're coming out with an Ozempic for dogs. Thank God. Thank God for that. Chemically stapling your dog's stomach. Why don't you just stop feeding your dog? Why don't you take your dog on a walk? Oh, that's right, because you're a fat slob too. That's why you knew it was Ozempic. A shot for you, shot for them. Speaking of food, Walmart selling radioactive shrimp. Interesting. You can get anything at Walmart, yo. Even radioactive shrimp. I don't like shrimp because you're basically eating an insect. Sorry, and I'm allergic to them. So I guess if I ate a radioactive shrimp and I died from the radioactiviness, or I died from anaphylactic shock, could my family go back and say, like, he died from the radiation? That's a theory we're not going to test. Another beautiful story by the New York Post. Speaking of food, a woman in New York City went into a dining establishment and she ordered herself a chicken wrap. She bit into the chicken wrap and there was the tip of a human finger in it. Yucky. They thought she wanted chicken fingers, a chicken finger wrap. But instead she got a human finger wrap. I don't know if I believe it, but God, if I don't appreciate that story. Folks, I appreciate you stopping by for my crunchy, crunchy takes. My God, they're crunchy. I might do another show per week, maybe. Keep it fresh for you. Keep sharing the show. Keep loving and cherishing the show. I appreciate you guys listening. You're some of the best people, some of the smartest people, some of the most down to earth people. So share the show, love the show, cherish the show, and we will see you guys next week. Love you. Bye.